Hello students, this is Maestra Moss, and we are going to review decimals this week. We have reached the end of the first module, which was all about decimals, and so far we have added, subtract, multiplied, divided, rounded, compared, and ordered decimals. So today we're going to start with our review. So let's begin with rounding. So go ahead and copy my first problem. Let's do 12 and 423 hundredths. And let's round this number to the nearest tenth. So remember the rounding rep. I want you to pause the video, round to the nearest tenth, and then unpause when you're done. And that's how we'll do all of these problems to check them. Okay, let's check. So I'm going to circle the digit, this is the tenth, look next door, 5 or greater, add one more, but it's not, 4 or less, just ignore. So that means my rounded answer is 12 and 4/10. Nothing after it, not even a 0. It only wants you to round to the 10th place. If you got that correct, give yourself a check or a star. Number 2. 7, copy me, 7 and 456 thousandths, and we're going to round to the 100th. After you've copied this down, pause the video and solve by yourself. Now let's check it. 10th, 100th, this is the 100th. Circle the digit, look next door, 5 or greater, add one more. So I'm going to add one more to the 5. And I'm done. I'm going to solve the problem. So the 7 stays the same. The decimal stays the same. The 4 stays the same. The 5 plus 1 becomes 6, and nothing comes after it. Because if I put a 0 here, then the number would be rounded to the thousandths place. It only wants to the 100th place, so you have to stop at this digit. If you got 7 and 46 hundredths, give yourself a check. If not, correct it. Third problem. Third and final rounding problem. Round to the nearest tenth. Okay, let's solve. So here we have the 10th. Circle the digit, look next door. 5 or greater, add one more. I will definitely be adding one more. Okay, so now this is kind of a trick question, that's why I started with this one. So if I recopy the 7 and I recopy the decimal, and 9 plus 1 is 10, that means I need to put the 0 here and carry the 1. So I still need to change the 7 because I carried a 1 over there. So instead of a 7, it's going to become 8. But the reason I need to keep the 0 is because it asked us to round to the 10th place. If it did not say 10th and it wanted us to round to the 1s, then I could put the answer was just 8. But since it asked for tenths, we need to put the decimal and the 0. If it asked for hundredths, then, I'm sorry, I just realized I spelled this wrong. Hundredths, it's missing a D. I think, hundredths. I'm having spelling problems right now. So if we wanted to round to the 100th, then it would be 8 and 2 zeros, because that's 10th, 100th. Okay, if you got 8 and 0 tenths, give yourself a star or a check. Okay, now let's review ordering decimals. Please copy this down. Okay, I wrote 5 numbers. 2 and 3/10, 3 and 2/10, 2, 3, and 2/10. Please order these from least. I'm putting an L for least. Oh, by the way, this is problem number 4. least to greatest. Okay, so you're gonna need to pause the video, order the numbers, and then unpause it. Okay, so the smallest number here is 2/10, so that should be all the way over on this side. Then would come 2. I'm going to cross them off so I know that I've used them. Then would come 2 3/10, followed by 3, which means 3 2/10 is the largest one. If you got that correct, give yourself a star or a check. Okay, let's go on to comparing them in a different format horizontally. So please copy this number. Pause the video, make sure you copied it correctly, and then you are going to be putting either a larger, greater than, less than, or equal sign in the middle. All right, let's check this. So remember, it's very difficult to solve this problem when you're looking at it horizontally. I always recommend looking at it vertically. So to do that over here, first I'm going to line up the decimals. Then I'm going to copy the problem so they're correctly lined up with their decimal. First I'm copying this one. And now I'm going to copy that one. Now I always start at the smallest. No, I'm sorry, I said it wrong. You start at the largest digit, because if one of these was 2 and one of these is 7, I already know the number with 7 is larger. So I'm going to start at the largest digit, which is whole numbers, and they're both the same. The decimals are lined up. Now I get to this one. They are different. The 9 is bigger. So I already know if the 9 is bigger than 8, this whole number is larger. I don't even have to check the other ones. I'm done. So now I have to just make sure which side is which. So the one where the 9 was in the 10th spot was this one. So I know that this side is bigger. If you got that correct, give yourself a check. Okay, oops, sorry about that. Let's now review multiplication of decimals. Okay, let's do 3/10 times 2. I'm going to give you 2 problems at the same time. And let's do 1 23 hundredths times 4. Okay, so I want you to pause this video and solve them not in your head and not in a calculator. I want you to write them down vertically. Don't be lazy. So you need to rewrite it like this, just like I'm doing. I'm not being lazy either. Solve and correctly put in your decimal point, and then we'll check it. Go ahead. All right, let's check it. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 0 is 0. Count over 1 space for the decimal, 1 space for the decimal, put it in. The product is 6/10. Number 7. 4 times 3 is 12. 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is 9. 4 times 1 is 4. Count over the decimals. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, your product is 4 92 hundredths. If you got those 2 correct, give yourself a check or a star. All right, our last 2 problems for today, as you may have guessed, will be division of decimals. I need more space. We're on problem 8 and 9. I'm going to give you 2 at a time again, so please copy 2 86 hundredths divided by 4, and 12 20, let's do 24 hundredths divided by 2. Okay, first thing you need to do write them down vertically. I purposely made easier problems right now because the main thing I'm looking for is that you know what to do with the decimal. So go ahead, pause this and solve. Find the quotient. Okay, if you unpaused it, you're ready to go over the answer. I wanted to re-go over vocabulary with you before we start. This number that's being divided in the divider number is called the divisor. So you write it too. You don't have to write on both, but write it on at least one of them. Divisor. I'll write up here big. And then the number inside the division bracket is called the dividend. Say dividend. Dividend. Notice it has the word divide in it. And then it has end. Dividend. And then our answer for our division problem is called a quotient. You probably already know that, but I will write it big since I kind of cut it off. I'll write it big over here. Quotient. This is an E. Okay, so let's correct them. So 4 can't go into 2, so I put a 0. 4 goes into 28 7 times evenly. 4 times 7 is 28. 0. Bring down the 6. 4 goes into 6 one time. Left over 2. Since we already have a decimal here, make sure that decimal goes straight up. And that means I don't need to add a decimal before I add a 0. I can just add a 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. I am done. I now have a quotient that has no remainder. My final quotient was 715 thousandths. If you got that, give yourself a check for number 8. Okay, number 9. 2 goes into 1 0 times. 2 goes into 12 6 times evenly. Bring down the next 2. 2 goes into 2 one time. And then bring down the 4. 2 goes into 4 2 times evenly. I have no remainder. I don't even have to bring that down to 0. All I have to do is move my decimal straight up. So my quotient is 6 12 hundredths. If you got that as your quotient, give yourself a check. Okay, that's all our review problems for today. We did a total of 9. So turn back to that front page and go ahead and put your final score out of 9. So like, let's say you got an 8 out of 9, and then take a picture of it and post on your homework slide so I can see how you did. Good job.